Hey y'all, and welcome to my channel. Today we're doing a candy cane tutorial. I love the way it came out, so I can't wait to share it with you. Let's get to it. So y'all, I make my tumblers just like I do my cooking. I don't measure anything, but I measured this for you. We're doing a split tumbler. It's going to be about 5 inches that we're going to be using with this vinyl. This vinyl is from North 80. Just like my other tutorial, I am going to start pulling back some of this backing so I can expose the vinyl. We're going to adhere that exposed vinyl to the tumbler. This tumbler is a 24-ounce plump from the Steel Magnolia. This is my favorite, so you will be seeing a lot of this tumbler on my channel, so just fair warning. I eyeball this part, but you can like use a ruler, take a pencil, make your straight line. I just eyeball it, make sure it's straight. Then I'm going to take my scraper and just start pushing back that backing until it's all off. Once it's off, I'm going to start just kind of pulling that vinyl over the edge of the tumbler so I can make sure that it is secure, and we're going to remove that excess. Do make sure you have a sharp craft knife. It makes all the difference. If it's not sharp, you will like rip some of the vinyl, and you don't want that to happen because you don't want to waste vinyl. It's expensive. Now I'm just going to go in and kind of clean that up with the bottom edge of my craft knife. It just makes it look so much sharper and cleaner. Now we're going to prepare to spray paint. I'm going to take some painter's tape and I am going to start just masking off my vinyl. I do this on both sides and around the bottom rim. So I didn't record the spray painting, but I did use a white base to prep for the glitter. So we're going to be using the epoxy method. This is my preferred method to apply glitter. I'm going to be using Polar Glitz from Glitz to Glam Glitter and Crafts. This is so pretty. So I mixed together about 5 milliliters of epoxy. I don't believe I used it all. I think I used about half. I want to make sure I'm spreading that on even, make sure I'm getting good coverage, especially up against the tape because I feel that's where some of the bald spots be. So make sure that you get your epoxy good and even alongside the tape and on the bottom. So now it's time for my favorite part, the glittering. I prefer the epoxy method because you normally only need one coat. And we're only using one color, so just go all in. Again, make sure you are getting alongside that tape really well. Yeah, I usually just grab what's ever close to me. I tap off that excess. Yeah, look how pretty that is. That is like the perfect blend of opal, silver, blue. Perfect. So now you're going to see me take it. I'm going to roll because I'm going to smush down that glitter. That's going to give me a good coverage of epoxy, and it's going to hopefully not cause me to do too many layers of epoxy so we can move on to the next step. And I'm rolling that on parchment paper. So then after that part, we're going to pull the tape. Our next step is to epoxy until smooth. I did about 2 layers. I did sand after that initial layer because I did get a good coverage of the first layer of epoxy. Next step, I'm going to take my painter's tape so we can start our candy cane lines. Not for sure why I started right there, but I started like right at the edge of the corner. We're going to just take that tape and make it like a little curve to make it look just like the candy canes on the back. You're also going to see me cutting the tape right along the edge of that vinyl. I'm going to do that all the way down this tumbler. Also, I'm going to go right above it too because we're going to remove like every other piece of tape. We're removing that tape because that's where our white stripes for the candy canes are going to be. You want to make sure that you are pressing that tape down good. You want to make sure that there are no gaps because you don't want the spray paint to get underneath that tape. We want to have good crisp white lines. So again, to prepare for the spray paint, we're going to go in and tape off both sides of the vinyl because we do not want to mess that up with the white spray paint. I don't think I showed both sides, but we're going to do the same thing on both sides. You can also tape off the whole back of the vinyl with tape if you want to. I didn't because I ain't never scared. Y'all pay me no mind. So for the paint, we're using Sugarcoat It by Colorshot. We're going to look. I thought I was recording the spray paint. I didn't. I did a horrible job. But we are using that. Now you're just going to see me go in and pull off the tape. I am trying out a new epoxy. I have learned that because it sets so fast that I need to make sure that it is spread out evenly. Like right at the top, it didn't. So I'm going to go in after I do some epoxy and make sure I sand that part down really well at the top. So now it's time to go in and add some vinyl stripes. All the vinyl I used for this tumbler is from Teckwrap. This is the metallic textured gold. The size of this line is 10.57 by 2.8. I'm also going to cut off any excess. The next color is going to be this red pretty satin. This line is 10.57 by 0.18. I'm going to place this vinyl about 1/4 above that gold vinyl. The next color is the baby blue. I use like the in-between of some vinyl lines that were 10.57 by 0.07. I'm placing this vinyl like right at the top of the white line. I'm going to do that on all the white stripes. I'm going to go backwards a little bit. I did do a thin layer of epoxy on the white stripes before I started adding the vinyl, just because I tend to get things a little dirty. So I want to make sure I keep those white lines clean. You probably won't have to. I just did it for safekeeping. But on the second tumbler I did just like this, I did not epoxy first. This is a very thin line. This is the 10.57 by 0.07. This is also the gold metallic. So we're placing this vinyl alongside the pattern vinyl and where the adhesive vinyl meets. I do apply quick coat to my vinyl lines. This is a lifesaver because it is HE double hockey sticks when that vinyl lifts up underneath your epoxy. You don't want to have to remove it. Just make sure you're using quick coat, thin layers to ensure that your vinyl doesn't lift. So I let this dry about 30 minutes or dry to touch before I go in with my next layer of epoxy. If you do not let this dry, it will be a cloudy mess. So please let it dry. Now to add a little sparkle, we are using the ultra fine magic glitter from Glitz to Glam Glitter and Crafts. This is just going to add a little sparkle to our epoxy. We're not going to use too much. We just want to add enough to give it that right amount of sparkle. We do this because we do not want to take away from the glitter that's already down. When we mix this, we want to make sure we mix it well. We incorporate that fine glitter well into the epoxy. And then we're going to smooth that on, making sure that it is even and spread across the tumbler very well. I then use my torch to pop any bubbles. Once this dries, I'm going to go in and lightly sand out any bubbles on the tumbler, on the rim, and on the bottom. I am using a 120 grit sanding block. Only sand like after your vinyl. If you have good coverage, you don't want to sand off any of that vinyl. So it's like my last tumbler, I'm sanding around that edge to expose some of the silver to the tumbler so we can have a good seal for our last coats of epoxy. It took about 2 coats of epoxy for me to finish this tumbler. I used Colorshot's Artist Resin. Alright y'all, she's all done. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. The products I use for this tumbler are listed below in the description box. I do have a couple of discount codes you'll be able to use to save you some coins. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll check you later.